If you're interested in the true history of America, subscribe and let's figure it out together.
October 8th, 1862. Kentucky's Chaplin Hills. Soldiers crawl toward creek beds, lips cracked, canteens empty. This drought has turned armies into desperate animals. Today, men will kill not for glory or country, but for one thing: water. Bragg commands Confederate forces invading Kentucky. He believes this state will join the South willingly. His soldiers march north, throats burning. Every stream they pass is dry. The land itself becomes their enemy before any battle begins. Union General Don Carlos Buell pursues Bragg's army. His men suffer equally. Horses collapse mid-march. Infantry units argue over muddy puddles. Command means nothing when thirst drives men mad. Water dictates strategy now. Chaplin Creek becomes more valuable than Richmond itself. Doctors Run, a tributary near Perryville. Confederate scouts discover flowing water. They taste it sweet, cold, life itself. But Union pickets already guard the opposite bank. Both armies see the same prize. The creek becomes a border between survival and death. Bragg faces a brutal choice: attack immediately with exhausted troops or wait while soldiers die of thirst. His generals argue. Wait for reinforcements, some say. Others shout that men are already fainting. Bragg stares at maps. Every hour costs lives. I'm Private Thomas Wilson, Confederate infantry. Haven't drunk in 2 days. My tongue sticks to my mouth's roof. I watch officers debate while soldiers collapse around campfires. I think, what good is Kentucky if we're too weak to hold it? Morning fog blankets Chaplin Hills. Silence. Then crack a single rifle shot breaks the stillness. Union and Confederate skirmishers clash near the creek. Water splashes as men fight in the shallows. The battle for Perryville begins not with orders but with thirst. Confederate General Leonidas Polk attacks first. His divisions surge down the hills toward water. Union lines weren't expecting a full assault. Surprise works perfectly. Federal troops scramble to form defensive positions. Polk's gamble pays off. Confederates reach the creek and drink desperately. Canteens fill frantically. Soldiers ignore the battle raging around them. Some drink until they vomit. Others fill every container they own. Officers scream orders, but thirst-crazed men don't hear. For 10 minutes, drinking matters more than fighting. Chaos. Primal. Desperate. Union artillery commander positions guns on high ground. He watches Confederates cluster at the water. Perfect targets. He gives the order quietly. Cannon fire tears through drinking soldiers. Bodies fall into the creek they died trying to reach. The water runs red. You're standing on that ridge watching. Men scramble for life itself while cannons kill them for wanting it. War's cruelest equation. The thing you need most becomes the thing that kills you. Water. Always water. Worth more than ammunition today. Bragg's center holds strong. His troops push Union forces back from the creek. Federal soldiers retreat uphill, leaving their dead near the water. Confederates control Chaplin Creek now. Victory tastes like muddy water. They've won something precious, but the battle isn't finished. Union General Alexander McCook rushes reinforcements forward. His divisions counterattack. Fresh troops slam into exhausted Confederates. The momentum shifts violently. Rebels who just reached water now face overwhelming numbers. They fight desperately, knowing retreat means dying of thirst tomorrow. Confederate Colonel Samuel Powell leads a charge uphill. His regiment attacks Federal artillery positions. Bayonets flash. Hand-to-hand fighting on rocky slopes. Powell falls, shot through the chest. His men continue without him. The hill changes hands 3 times in 60 minutes. Think about Powell dying for a Kentucky hillside. Not Virginia, not his homeland. He'll never see his family again. Why? Because generals drew lines on maps and soldiers followed orders blindly. His blood waters the same ground he came to liberate. By afternoon, casualties mount horrifically. Neither side can sustain this intensity. Wounded men crawl toward the creek for water. Some die reaching it. Medics work frantically, but there aren't enough hands. The hills echo with screams. This battle consumes both armies. Confederate General Benjamin Cheatham's division smashes into Union left flank. Federal lines buckle under pressure. Entire regiments flee in disorder. Cheatham's Tennesseans pursue relentlessly. They capture artillery pieces, prisoners, supply wagons. This attack might break Buell's entire army. Victory seems possible, but Bragg doesn't know he's winning. The battle's smoke and terrain create confusion. His headquarters sits miles away. Reports arrive late, contradictory, useless. Bragg believes he's losing when actually his forces dominate. Fog of war becomes deadlier than bullets. Evening approaches. Bragg receives casualty reports. 3,000 Confederate soldiers killed or wounded. His supply lines stretch dangerously thin. No reinforcements coming. He controls the battlefield but knows he cannot hold Kentucky with a bleeding, exhausted army. Victory feels hollow. Here's war's bitter irony. Bragg wins the battle tactically but loses strategically. He holds Chaplin Creek. Union forces retreat. By every military measure, Confederates prevailed. Yet Bragg understands the mathematics of survival. His army cannot survive another Perryville. That night, Confederate campfires burn on Chaplin Hills. Soldiers finally drink their fill. They celebrate, "We beat the Yankees." But officers whisper anxiously. Scouts report massive Union reinforcements approaching. Buell's entire army gathers nearby. Tomorrow brings overwhelming numbers against them.
Support the channel by subscribing. It helps us create new stories about the real America for you.
Bragg meets his generals at midnight. Candles flicker in a farmhouse. Maps spread across a table show their impossible situation. Stay and fight? They'll be destroyed. Retreat? Abandon Kentucky. Admit the invasion failed. Every option tastes like defeat. He makes the hardest decision commanders face. Retreat after winning. His generals protest furiously. "We control the field," they argue. Bragg cuts them off coldly. "We control a creek while surrounded by enemy armies. Tomorrow we die. Tonight we leave. I hear the whispered orders. Pack quietly, prepare to march south. I can't believe it. We won, I think. Union soldiers fled before us. Now we're running. I look at the creek we bled for. Was any of it worth this?" Consider Bragg's impossible choice. Victory demands he stay and fight. Survival demands retreat. History will call him coward for leaving. But staying means losing his entire army. Sometimes winning the battle means nothing. Sometimes survival requires abandoning everything you fought for. By dawn, Confederates vanish. Union soldiers wake expecting another battle. Instead, they find empty positions, abandoned campfires, silence. Bragg's army marches south rapidly. Kentucky remains in Union hands. The invasion ends not with glorious defeat, but quiet withdrawal through darkness. Buell's troops occupy Perryville. They count bodies near Chaplin Creek. Over 7,000 casualties, total Confederate and Federal combined. The bloodiest battle in Kentucky's history. All for a creek that would fill naturally with winter rains in mere weeks. Lincoln reads reports in Washington. Bragg retreated, but Buell didn't pursue aggressively. Another cautious general letting enemies escape. Lincoln's frustration grows daily. The Union won Kentucky's control, but can't destroy Confederate armies. Victories feel incomplete. The war continues endlessly. Bragg's army crosses Tennessee border safely. His soldiers curse him privately. "We won and ran," they mutter bitterly. But they're alive. That creek saved them temporarily and doomed them strategically. They traded Kentucky's hope for survival. The invasion ends in bitter disappointment. You must understand, Perryville wasn't really about Kentucky's future. It was about water, exhaustion, impossible choices under pressure. Two armies fighting over a creek during a drought. The grand strategy collapsed into basic human need. Politics became biology. Empire became thirst. Weeks later, Kentucky families bury the dead. Brothers on opposite sides lie in the same soil now. The creek flows normally. October rains finally came. Nature's timing mocks everything. The water they died for falls freely from the sky like tears. Sarah Mitchell tends her brother's grave near Chaplin Creek. He wore Confederate gray proudly. Her husband fought Union blue and survived. She cannot choose between them. Her loyalty splits impossibly. Kentucky itself embodies this division, never quite north, never quite south, always torn. The battle achieves nothing strategically. Kentucky stays Union. Bragg's invasion fails completely. But Confederate army escapes intact to fight again. Thousands died horribly, families shattered. For what? A tactical draw. This pattern repeats endlessly throughout the war, bloodshed without resolution. Historians debate Bragg's decision forever. Should he have stayed? Fought Buell's full army? Likely he would have been destroyed utterly. His retreat saved 20,000 Confederate soldiers for future battles, but it also surrendered Kentucky permanently. Was survival worth abandonment? Think about those commanders facing impossible mathematics. Attack and maybe win, but definitely bleed. Retreat and survive, but definitely lose everything. No good options exist, only choices between types of failure. This is leadership's true burden, selecting which disaster to embrace. I survived Perryville. I fight at Stones River, Chickamauga, Atlanta. Each battle I remember that Kentucky Creek vividly. The first time I understood, winning doesn't guarantee victory. Success doesn't ensure progress. You can prevail tactically and fail strategically completely. Union soldiers also remember differently. They held the field but let Confederates escape intact. Their commanders claimed victory while enemies walked away untouched. This ambiguity haunts them forever. Who really won? The question becomes meaningless. Everyone lost something that day near Chaplin Creek. The creek itself doesn't care. Water flows regardless of human tragedy. Seasons change. Blood washes downstream and disappears completely. Nature absorbs human catastrophe without acknowledgement. The hills remember nothing. Only people carry these memories forward, burden themselves with meaning that geography ignores. By 1865, Perryville seems like ancient history. Bigger battles follow: Gettysburg, Vicksburg, Petersburg, Sherman's March. Kentucky's fight becomes a footnote. But for soldiers who drank from Chaplin Creek while their friends died, it remains the war's center forever. War's literature focuses on great victories and crushing defeats. Perryville fits neither category neatly. It's ambiguous, unsatisfying, incomplete. Like most battles, actually. History prefers clean narratives. Reality delivers messy draws. The gap between them defines most soldiers' actual experiences. Monuments eventually mark the battlefield carefully. Tourists walk the hills reading plaques. They try imagining the desperation, the thirst, the violence. They can't. October sunshine warms their faces pleasantly. Chaplin Creek babbles. The past becomes picturesque. Horror transforms into heritage, sanitized. But veterans know better. Old men gather at reunions, blue and gray together now. They don't discuss strategy or politics anymore. They remember thirst, comrades dying for water. That shared suffering transcends sides completely. They fought each other over a creek. Nothing else matters. Consider what Perryville teaches. Wars aren't won by grand battles alone. Logistics matter: food, ammunition, especially water. Morale matters: thirsty soldiers fight poorly. Intelligence matters: Bragg couldn't see his own success. Sometimes the mundane determines everything supposedly glorious about warfare. Also this truth: victory without pursuit means nothing strategically. Buell won Perryville, but didn't destroy Bragg's army. Lincoln understood this perfectly well. Winning battles doesn't win wars. Destroying enemy capacity does. Perryville demonstrated the difference clearly between tactical and strategic success. Bragg's career never recovers from this decision. His retreat after tactical success haunts his reputation forever. Officers and enlisted men lose faith rapidly. He wins battles but doesn't inspire confidence. By 1863, Jefferson Davis removes him from command permanently. Buell fares no better ultimately. Lincoln expects aggressive pursuit of retreating Confederates. Buell refuses, citing exhausted troops and supply problems. True, but insufficient excuse. Lincoln removes him within weeks of Perryville. Both commanders won and lost simultaneously. Neither satisfied their governments. This reveals war's impossible standards clearly. Commanders must be bold but cautious, aggressive but prudent simultaneously. Contradictory demands doom most generals eventually. History judges them by results alone, ignoring context. Bragg and Buell both made defensible choices. Both got fired anyway. Decades pass. The 20th century arrives violent. World wars make Perryville seem quaint by comparison. Thousands dying for a creek? World War I loses millions in single offensives. Scale changes dramatically. But basic truths remain. Soldiers need water. Commanders face choices. Victory proves elusive. Modern military studies analyze Perryville's lessons carefully. water logistics in warfare, communication failures in command, the psychology of retreat after success. Every staff college teaches it now. The battle becomes case study, sterilized, and academic. Lost is the terror, the dying boys. You cannot truly know what happened there. Reading descriptions, studying maps, visiting preserved battlefields, all inadequate. You've never experienced that thirst, never killed for water, never watched friends die over muddy creek. History creates distance, makes horror comprehensible. Maybe that's mercy. Still, we must try understanding them. These men weren't abstract statistics. Each casualty had a name, family, dreams. They died for causes they believed in or didn't. Some fought for slavery's preservation, which we now recognize as monstrous. Others fought to end it. Kentucky's enslaved people watched this battle with different eyes entirely. Freedom's possibility fought against slavery's defenders violently. But neither army prioritized their liberation yet. Emancipation remained 18 months away. They lived through warfare's chaos without controlling their own fates. History's most tragic position. The battle's Confederate veterans eventually admitted, "We fought for a doomed cause." Slavery couldn't survive, shouldn't have. Their sacrifice preserved injustice temporarily. This recognition came slowly, painfully. Some never accepted it. But honest veterans acknowledged their service supported evil, however bravely performed. Union veterans claim moral high ground easier. They saved the nation, ended slavery eventually. True, but many fought for Union, not emancipation initially. Few joined expecting to die for black freedom specifically. That cause evolved during warfare gradually. Moral clarity came slowly, not immediately. What remains clear? October 8th, 1862. Soldiers suffered and died at Perryville horribly. Their courage was real regardless of causes served. We can honor sacrifice while condemning why they fought. Human complexity allows holding both truths simultaneously. History demands this nuance. The creek still flows peacefully. Perryville remains tiny, quiet. Corn grows where men died violently. Life continues, indifferent to past trauma. This is strangely comforting. The world heals, moves forward, doesn't dwell perpetually in sorrow, but also disturbing so much suffering, so quickly forgotten. Perhaps that's appropriate. Soldiers didn't fight, so we'd memorialize suffering endlessly. They fought believing in futures beyond their own deaths. Forgetting honors them differently than remembering. By living peacefully in the world they died creating, we fulfill their unspoken hope. Yet completely forgetting betrays them too. Their sacrifices, mistakes, courage, failures, all contain lessons. Perryville teaches that wars cost more than expected, achieve less than promised, and create ambiguous outcomes defying simple narratives. These lessons deserve preservation. The paradox persists. Remember, but don't obsess. Honor, but don't glorify. Learn, but don't repeat mistakes. Each generation must navigate between dangerous nostalgia and careless amnesia. Perryville helps us practice this balance. It's important enough to study, small enough to comprehend. Standing at Chaplin Creek today, you hear only water and wind. Birds sing. Trees shade the banks. Peace has thoroughly conquered this landscape. The violence seems impossible now. Maybe that's history's greatest gift, proving that even battlefields eventually become beautiful again. But touch the creek's cold water. Imagine 2 days without drinking anything. Feel desperation rising. Now imagine thousands trying to reach this same water while others shoot at them. The gap between tourist experience and soldier reality remains unbridgeable. We cannot truly know. That limitation itself teaches humility. We study wars but haven't endured them personally. We judge commanders from comfortable distance. We declare what should have happened without facing those impossible choices ourselves. Perhaps acknowledging what we cannot understand matters as much as understanding. The Civil War's essential tragedy wasn't just battlefield deaths. It was brothers fighting brothers, families divided, nation torn apart over slavery's evil. Perryville represents this larger catastrophe in miniature Kentuckians killing fellow Kentuckians over their state's future and slavery's fate. Bragg's retreat ended Confederate Kentucky hopes permanent. The border shifted decisively northward. Slavery's expansion stopped here. The Union held. From this perspective, Perryville mattered immensely, not tactically, but geographically and politically. Kentucky stayed. The Confederacy shrank. Freedom's territory expanded. October 8, 1862. It began with thirst and ended with retreat. Thousands died. Nothing resolved cleanly, yet everything changed. Kentucky chose sides finally. The Confederacy lost what it couldn't afford losing, and soldiers learned that winning battles doesn't guarantee winning wars.
If you're curious to find out what happened next, subscribe. The sequel is coming soon.